Here are some of the stories you'll see next on 28 Eyewitness News Night Beat.
The president addresses the nation, promising to complete some unfinished business and to take up the new business of the 21st century.
The body of a Lackawanna County woman found today. We now have her identity. I'm Pete Yaksick. I'll have a live report.
Our lead story, the verdict is in the O.J. Simpson civil trial in Santa Monica.
Eyewitness News starts right now. Live from WBRE TV, the station that's taking the lead, this is 28 Eyewitness News Night Beat.
Good evening, everyone. The jury in the O.J. Simpson civil case has found Simpson liable for the killing of his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and friend Ron Goldman.
NBC's Mark Strassman joins us live with the very latest on the verdict in our lead story. Mark?
Good evening, everyone. O.J. did it, and he should pay big money. That was the verdict tonight of a civil jury here in Santa Monica when the court clerk announced the answer to the first jury question that Simpson had willfully killed Ron Goldman. The courtroom erupted. In all, there were 8 questions, and Simpson lost all 8, all unanimously. O.J. Simpson arrived knowing this verdict was trouble. Of late, his lawyers had been pushing for a mistrial, but not nearly as hard as his accusers, the family of Ron Goldman and the family of Nicole Brown Simpson, had pushed this civil suit, their second and final bid for vindication. Simpson found responsible for killing Ron Goldman and for battering his ex-wife Nicole that same night. Different trial, different jury, different verdict. And at long last, the Goldman and Brown families and Simpson critics everywhere have what they've wanted since the criminal trial.
This lawsuit is, as I've said before, it's an opportunity, the only opportunity left for our family to get justice.
This time, jurors saw 30 more photos of Simpson in the shoes identical to the ones worn by the killer. This time, they heard from Simpson himself and did not believe him. This time, they did not hear from Mark Furman or believe the LAPD framed Simpson. And this time, 9 of the jurors were white. Now Simpson and his jurors move into this trial's second phase, a separate hearing to determine how much Simpson is worth and how much he should pay as punishment. But no cash amount will bring back Ron Goldman or Nicole Brown Simpson. O.J. Simpson leaves branded by infamy. A jury says he's a killer. It's a stigma long overdue to many Americans and an outrage to his many supporters. Simpson found responsible for killing Ron Goldman and for battering his ex-wife Nicole the same night. You're looking now at a live shot of Rockingham, O.J. Simpson's home, where he is apparently inside now, having returned from the courthouse. Simpson is sure to appeal both the verdict and the multi-million-dollar award. Now, on Thursday, the second phase of this civil suit begins, when Simpson, in theory at least, could stand to lose many more millions of dollars. So the civil verdict is in here in Santa Monica, but across America, in living rooms, on talk shows, and on street corners, the great debate goes on about whether O.J. did it. That's the latest here in Santa Monica. Mark Strassman reporting live. Let's go back to you.
Mark, the jury assessed $8.5 million in compensatory damages. As he said, the punitive phase of the trial will begin on Thursday in Santa Monica.
We now know the identity of a woman who was found murdered this morning in a remote part of Dunmore. Our Pete Yaksick is standing by live at the State Police Barracks in Dunmore with the very latest on the police investigation. Pete?
Dawn, police say the victim is Karen Maddox of Music. Her body was found around 11 o'clock this morning. She died from traumatic bodily injury. That's all investigators are saying right now. So there's still a lot of unanswered questions. This is the picture investigators released of 38-year-old Karen Maddox. She was also known as Karen Williard from a previous marriage. She was 5 feet 9 inches tall, 120 pounds, hazel eyes, black grayish hair with a red rinse tint. She had a thin build. Police say she last lived in Music. An exact address is not known. A Federal Express driver found her body along Elmhurst Boulevard in Dunmore. This is just below the Mount Margaret Estates. It's not determined if she died here or if her body was merely dumped here. Investigators don't have any suspects at this time. We're told her current husband is incarcerated in New York. How she was identified leads to more questions about Maddox's background.
She was identified by one of the troopers, undercover troopers here, and I can't go any further into that. And she was identified through fingerprints.
Okay, so they knew about her before. They've come across her before?
They have come across her before.
How was she employed?
At this time, I don't know. We don't know that at this time.
Was she beaten?
All I could say is that she died of multiple injuries. That's all I can say.
For now, the death is being ruled as suspicious. Officially, it is not a homicide. An autopsy was completed, but investigators still have much more work to do. That's it for now. Reporting live from the State Police Barracks in Dunmore, Pete Yaksick, 28 Eyewitness News. Dawn, back to you.
All right, Pete, and police are asking for your help tonight. If you have any information, you are asked to call Dunmore State Police. The number on your screen, 963-3156. An Altoona, Pennsylvania woman will now call Death Row in Texas her home. It took a jury 4 hours to decide death by lethal injection for Darlie Routier. Routier was found guilty in the stabbing death of her 5-year-old son on Saturday. She is also accused of killing her 6-year-old son at the family's Texas home that same night. Routier says an intruder killed her children and wounded her. New revealing DNA tests suggest that Dr. Sam Sheppard may not have killed his wife more than 40 years ago. The new evidence indicates that a third person was in the home at the time that Marilyn Sheppard was murdered back in 1954. Sheppard spent 10 years in prison before the U.S. Supreme Court overturned his conviction. His story inspired the television show and the movie The Fugitive. Sheppard died in 1970, but his son is now fighting to clear his father's name. Also, on what has become an incredibly busy news night, President Bill Clinton delivered his State of the Union address. Keith, this had to be one of a politician's worst nightmares tonight.
Dawn, especially for the Republicans responding to tonight's address against the competition from the breaking O.J. story. And of course, don't forget the nightmare for network programming executives faced with 2 competing top stories at the same time. But President Clinton took the podium on time to present his assessment of where the nation stands and where it's going. And he began by describing the State of the Union as strong and facing the challenges of shaping a nation at peace.
We face no imminent threat, but we do have an enemy. The enemy of our time is inaction. So tonight I issue a call to action. Action by this Congress, action by our states, by our people, to prepare America for the 21st century.
Well, Mr. Clinton outlined an agenda of unfinished business, including welfare reform, campaign finance reform, and it's an agenda topped by balancing the budget.
I will propose a detailed plan to balance the budget by 2002. This plan will balance the budget and invest in our people while protecting Medicare, Medicaid, education, and the environment. It will balance the budget and build on the Vice President's efforts to make our government work better, even as it costs less. It will balance the budget and provide middle-class tax relief to pay for education and health care, to help to raise a child, to buy and sell a home. Balancing the budget requires only your vote and my signature. It does not require us to rewrite our Constitution.
Well, that comment drew long and loud applause, and Mr. Clinton said his top priority for the next 4 years was to provide every American with the best education in the world based on specific goals.
Let's work together to meet these 3 goals. Every 8-year-old must be able to read. Every 12-year-old must be able to log onto the internet. Every 18-year-old must be able to go to college, and every adult American must be able to keep on learning for a lifetime.
Well, Mr. Clinton proposes to support the plan with $51 billion in educational spending, along with programs of national educational standards and testing and recognition of excellence in teaching. Dawn?
Keith, is this the bridge to the 21st century that the president pledged at the Democratic National Convention?
Well, Dawn, this is the plan for the bridge, but not the bricks and mortar for the plan. The devil, as we all know, is in the detail, and that detail will come Thursday with the release of the budget. Dawn?
All right, thank you, Keith. Pennsylvania Governor Tom Ridge unveiled his proposed $16.9 billion budget today. The spending plan would increase state spending by 2.7% and cut taxes by $67 million. Now, of that, $25 million would go toward reducing taxes for working families. The proposal also calls for increases in Medicaid spending, provides more money for youth centers and education, and increases incentive grants to attract out-of-state business. Well, the governor's budget proposal is the topic of tonight's 28 telepoll. Our question, if you agree with the governor's budget proposal, call 1-900-680-2801. If you disagree with the budget plan, call 1-900-680-2802. A call will cost you 50 cents. Our phone lines are open until 11:15, so you still have a few more minutes. We'll have final results later on in the newscast. And when we return, we'll tell you what's being called the worst military aviation disaster in Israel's history. Plus,
if you color your hair, you could be dabbling in a health hazard. I'm Dia Wallace. I'll have that story.
The second wave of moisture is on the way from our latest winter storm. What form will it take? We'll get you a forecast of the Power of Earthwatch in several minutes. We'd like you to stay with us. Thank
you. You're watching 28 Eyewitness News Night Beat. Anchored by Keith Martin, Dawn Timmeney, weather with Vince Sweeney and the Power of Earthwatch, sports with Jim Miller and the 28 team, backed by the entire Emmy-nominated Eyewitness News team. Now 28 Eyewitness News continues on WBRE TV.
Tonight, Israel is in shock and mourning in the wake of a mid-air collision involving 2 military helicopters.
As many as 70 Israeli soldiers and air crew were killed when the 2 heavy-lift choppers collided during heavy rain and fog in northern Israel. The helicopters were carrying troops and ammunition to forward bases in the demilitarized zone of southern Lebanon. Tonight, bodies are lying in rows as investigators pick through the still smoldering debris, and casualty notification teams deliver the message every military family dreads. The cause of the crash is unknown.
In our area, police are investigating a collision involving a car and a train near Mifflin. Police tell Eyewitness News that just after 4 o'clock this afternoon, a vehicle driven by Ed Rawa of Mount Carmel collided with an oncoming train. According to witnesses, Rawa passed a line of cars waiting for the train on Route 339 and ran right into the path of the train. The train was traveling about 25 miles an hour at the time of the accident. Rawa was taken to Berwick Hospital and then transferred to Geisinger Medical Center in Danville, where he is listed in satisfactory condition tonight.
The U.S. Senate today passed a resolution on mammograms. The Senate is urging the National Cancer Institute to consider reissuing guidelines on when a woman needs to get mammograms to screen against breast cancer. Last month, you'll recall, the National Institute of Health panel refused to recommend women in their 40s get routine mammograms. But the matter will come under debate again this month when the National Cancer Advisory Panel meets to reconsider the issue of a policy statement.
Well, if you color your hair, you'll want to pay close attention to this next story. A new study shows alarmingly high levels of lead in some home hair coloring products. Reporter Dia Wallace has more on the potentially deadly products.
Defying your age?
My roots are showing. That's the reason. That's the reason I'm here today, usually every 6 weeks.
Hair coloring is one of the most common cosmetic procedures, not just in salons and not just for women.
Men like their hair colored as well. We are in the age of baby boomers, and people do not want to look old.
Before Bonnie Beluza became a regular hair salon customer, she experimented quite a bit coloring her own hair. And what a mess that was.
All over the walls, all over anything and anybody in sight. You just apply it and it splatters all over.
Well, that's what concerns the American Pharmaceutical Association. A new study with alarming information claims some hair dyes contain large amounts of lead. If you look on the shelf of any drugstore, you'll see lead acetate is a key ingredient in hair dyes. That lead from the dyes can spread from hands to anything users touch. The bathroom, hair dryers, even hands can become contaminated.
The person who dyes their hair at home often does not have the right tools. And so therefore they are using makeshift tools to apply color. The color is very, very messy and it spills.
That means that in the course of ordinary moving your hands through your hair, you're putting a large dose of lead onto your hands and air if you use lead-containing hair dye. And even small amounts of lead can affect learning, especially in young children. The Food and Drug Administration responds that the report is premature. As it is, most hair dyes do not contain lead, but one of the most well-known, Grecian formula, does. But the manufacturer insists the products are safe. Dia Wallace, 28 Eyewitness News.
Now, researchers also found lead in R&D hair dye and youth hair, dyes which do not have lead, Clairol's Nice and Easy, and combs just for men. Professional hair products used in salons also do not contain lead.
And now, speaking of colors, the crayon variety, Crayola Crayons, is reintroducing 8 colors from the 1970s. The unnamed retro colors include an avocado green, once found in kitchens, an orange like that old shag rug, and how about purple like your bell bottoms, Vince. Children will name the new crayon colors their parents once used. All I can say is, far out, man.
Oh,
no.
Bell bottoms, I bet you I had a couple of pairs that were like...
well, do you remember that orange color? I still see
Horrendous.
old shirts and ties. And...
I still have seen the avocado green in several kitchens.
Probably in my
homes
closet.
that
Yeah,
are
that's,
open.
well, what can I say?
Probably.
Yeah.
Hey, it didn't turn out to be
Yes.
too bad tonight.
Yeah.
It looks like a lot of the roads are just wet. And,
Yeah, a little bit of snow and the rain's in there now. I think maybe a little bit of snow left in some spots, but for most of us it's rain, freezing rain. Temperatures for the most part are above freezing, but a couple of spots, you know, they're just kind of
Right.
naggingly persistent. They don't want to get above freezing, so just be careful, eh?
Right.
All right, now we'll get that out of the way. Let's talk about weather, which we'll do in a couple of minutes. But first, this.
Here are tonight's winning lottery numbers. You're watching 28 Eyewitness News on WBRE TV. Now, with the power of Earthwatch, here's your local forecast.
All right, the deal is, folks, temperature has gone above freezing in a good many locations, but again, there will be some pockets, some spots where it will hang around freezing for a while yet. Tomorrow we go to the mid-40s, but it's not tomorrow, so let's keep in mind it's raining out there. Some of the rain could freeze on surfaces. 35 right now, Loyalsock High School. Again, Loyalsock is in a valley, the West Branch Valley of the Susquehanna. Colder air, if you're going to find it, would likely be there, so this is a good indication that troubles will be few. High 35, low 24, pressure's falling. Humidity is 100%. Wind chill, no, wind's bouncing around right now. They're about a mile an hour. The records for us for the day continue on again. 58 in 1991, 6 below in 1985, and the sun will rise and set tomorrow at 7:11 and 5:25. And Charlie Hay stops for us tonight and gets us a weather window out in the back mountain where you can see snow-covered roads and slow going, which is a good idea under these circumstances. Now, let's go to our regional Doppler. Here is the story. We've had several breaks. You can see them in through here. So for a couple of times tonight at least, I guess the impression was, well, it must be over. Well, the fact is, there's more back west, and it's coming again. The second wave is on its way through right now. So we will dry out from time to time, but then it keeps on coming. Now, I mentioned this at 6 o'clock back in Ohio, and even in western Pennsylvania, the last couple of hours, there have actually been thunderstorms, or at least a rumble or two of thunder. So as we progress through the night, do not be shocked if, in fact, you see or hear it thunder or see it flash a little bit of lightning. Just remember, when you hear it thunder, don't run under a tree, okay? That's it's a song. Pennies from heaven every time. All right, here's temperatures. 36 in Avoca, 36 in Williamsport, even 34 at Bradford, which is usually cold. Warmer air, 42 Pittsburgh, 41 in Erie, 40 at Philadelphia. So these temperatures are rising, but here again, some pockets, the valleys especially, may take a little bit to get above freezing, and we just want you to be careful. So the mess that is ours is pretty much the weather in the country. There's not a whole lot going back out in the midsection of the country. We've got a warm front being dragged through here, an area of low pressure that's back over the lakes, and that will continue on a northeasterly direction, as most of our storms have done the last month at least, and they go up the west side of the Alleghenies, and that means we don't get a whole lot of snow out of them. Here's the second batch, the tail end of it, which will be coming through Pennsylvania for the overnight period. There could, in fact, be a couple of decent downpours in here, too, as we get through the overnight. And that rumble of thunder. So here is the story. There goes another storm. We'll scoot off to the northeast, out of our way. In behind it, we get another cold front. But again, the cold front, Pacific in nature. This is not brutally cold air in here by any stretch of the imagination. I don't want to call it mild yet, but I guess by February standards, not all that cold. Here's your exclusive AccuWeather forecast for tonight, folks, as we take another look at the back mountain. Rain, freezing rain, and in some places, again, maybe in the Poconos, still perhaps a little bit of snow. Temperatures are slowly rising. Maybe 1 inch to 3 is what we have seen so far on the ground. Again, won't look like it by the time the rain and the freezing rain gets done with it and the rising temperatures. For tomorrow, whatever rain is left will end early on. It will turn blustery. It'll go to 44 or so. Then the temperature will fall off, but it's not going to go through the floor like it does sometimes. Tomorrow night, a 25, partly to mostly cloudy, no more than a flurry. And here is the rest of the forecast for you. Thursday, stray flurry, partly sunny, 38 degrees. On Friday, 36 with some sunshine. Saturday, maybe you have to deal with a little bit of snow sometime. Looks like in the afternoon, if at all, and 32. And on Sunday, some sunshine and 36 degrees. Bell bottoms, huh?
Bell bottom. Did you?
I'm telling you, they were like.
Oh, I bet.
And hip huggers too. Don't forget hip huggers.
I never got into. I couldn't get into hip huggers. How does that sound?
I couldn't get into them. That's right. How'd you get into
accurate.
those? I don't know. With a can opener. That's right. In sports, the Jets hire a man to hold the fort until Bill Parcells arrives. Jim arrives here next with sports.
But first, here are the results of our 28 telepoll tonight. Our question: what do you think about Governor Ridge's budget proposal? Well, 59% of our callers tonight agree with the governor's budget plan. 41% disagree with the governor's budget proposal. Thanks for your calls.
You're watching 28 Eyewitness News on WBRE TV. Now, 28 Eyewitness Sports.
Thank you very much, and good evening, everyone. The New York Jets, 1997 losers in the Bill Parcells sweepstakes, took the long road to the man tonight by naming his defensive coordinator as their new head coach. Bill Belichick, Parcells' coordinator in New England and with the New York Football Giants, and the former head coach of the Cleveland Browns, was named the Jets' new head coach. He replaces Rich Kotite, who resigned just before the final game of the season. Parcells will be an advisor to the Jets until he is released by the Patriots, who own his services through 1997. Locally, the Lady Bulldogs of Berwick High School ran into the upset machine called Valley West last night and lost the second half showdown in Plymouth. Sid Michaels has more on a Berwick basketball team that has enjoyed a fine high school basketball season.
Football is a way of life in Berwick, and rightly so. Three-time defending state champs, former national champs, well, you know the story. But now, the Lady Bulldogs basketball team is catching the eye of Berwick sports fans. Until last night's upset loss at Wyoming Valley West, the Lady Dogs were unbeaten in league play and had won 18 of their first 21 games this season.
Football helps us because there's great community support for football, and our girls are playing really well, and they're in opposite seasons and things, and I think each supports the other.
Berwick's known for football, and once we win as much as the football team and have the tradition like they do, then maybe we can start the Berwick basketball tradition.
Make no mistake, this team would win no matter where it came from. But when you're from Berwick, you have a successful football team, and your town is used to winning, then that sure helps.
Definitely. You know, the town loves a winning team. And, you know, it starts in the fall with football, and then in the winter with basketball.
Football will always be king in Berwick. But now, there's a queen in that town as well. Sid Michaels, 28 Eyewitness Sports.
The Scranton Wilkes-Barre Red Barons had a big day at the office today when new manager Mark Bombard came to town for the first time since being named the new skipper 2 months ago. Bombard comes over from the National League's Cincinnati Reds and looks forward to his new role and his new organization, the Philadelphia Phillies.
With Bill Robinson and Larry Anderson here, Jim, they're going to be a big benefit to me. Bill managing Reading last year and Larry being the pitching coach. They know the players a lot better than I do at this stage. So we're going to have a good relationship and looking, hopefully we can put a decent product out on the field, a competitive product, and give the people here a good brand of baseball to watch.
And the new Red Barons logo unveiled tonight. It features the Red Barons biplane replacing the flying baseball that has led the way for the past 8 years. Local women's college basketball tonight. Wilkes at College Misericordia. Misericordia's Debbie Reiner passes to Becky Akabenis. She hits the shot from the right side. Wilkes will answer that. Leanne Azaravich feeds under to Rebecca Baker. He rolls to the hoop, that is, for two, and the Cougars come back one more time at the other end. Stacey Hughes gets the basketball in the low post and hits the jump hook. Your final, Misericordia over Wilkes, 75-68. Boys high school basketball tonight. Abington Heights at Prep. Jared Verano hits the jump shot from the corner, and the Comets went out in front. Prep comes right back as Mike Scopp, the power drive down the lane for a pair. But Prep would go to their go-to guy, Ryan Cognetti. He picks up the three-point play. In overtime, it was Prep over Abington Heights, 64-58. Game 2, Myers, Wyoming area Warriors on the comeback trail as the inside game comes through. But the Mohawks on their inside game, Julius Perry, they regroup in the fourth quarter, and they go on to knock off Wyoming area tonight, the final 49-43. Dennis Rodman has been reinstated by National Basketball Association Commissioner David Stern. His 11-game suspension for kicking the cameraman in Minnesota will end right after the All-Star game in Cleveland this coming Sunday. And Mario Lemieux scored his 600th goal with the Pittsburgh Penguins tonight, only the 7th player in the history of hockey to do so. Really busy for everyone tonight. I'll see you tomorrow. It's been wild.
All right, Jim, thanks.
All right.
Okay.
Well, coming up, Vince, he's back with another look at that forecast.
And then we'll catch a wave and check out the surf with none other than Duke.
A coffee maker that grinds its own beans? It's just one of many new electronic gadgets designed to make your life easier. Take a look at them tomorrow morning on Eyewitness News Sunrise.
You're watching 28 Eyewitness News on WBRE TV. Now 28 Eyewitness News continues on WBRE TV.
And finally, when he's not busy making movies, he's hanging out at the beach.
We're talking about a Hollywood star. Well, he has more than two legs to stand on. This is Duke, a 3-year-old Sheltie. He just loves to water ski. Now, Duke works for a company called Critters of the Cinema and already has several movies to his credit. He's also, as you can see, an expert at surfing and the boogie board. Today, Duke, by the way, was videotaping a promo for the Los Angeles Boat Show, and he was overheard to say to his agent, "I want to be alone."
Vince, I don't know about you, but I don't think my dog would do that. How about yours?
No, I can't get the dog near water, period, especially a bath. Drink it, yeah, otherwise forget about it. Let's go to the forecast. It goes like this overnight. Temperatures coming up above freezing, 35 right now here in the Weather Center. Watch for some rain, freezing rain, and in the eastern areas, Poconos, maybe a bit of snow, and it could even rumble thunder overnight. There could be some downpours, too. And tomorrow, 44, windy, whatever rain there is ends with a sprinkle flurry. 38 on Thursday, Friday, 36, maybe a bit of snow Saturday. Sunday, some sunshine and 36 degrees. So another winter storm that kind of goes for us here. A couple inches of snow.
Par for the course all winter.
Yep, that's going to be one of those kind of winters.
All right.
Okay. PFFFT, I think.
It's a new weather term.
Good night.
All right, thanks, Vince.
Mild. The weather isn't, but the term is mild. That's Eyewitness News Night Beat. We thank you all for watching tonight.
Have a good night, everyone. The Tonight Show with Jay Leno is coming your way next from Las Vegas.
Viva Las Vegas.